Hello, everybody. Michael here. Going to do a little composition stream today. I am pretty low energy. I had a big 2 days of more activity than I'm used to. I'm definitely feeling my age right now. I'm 40. Yeah, but I'm still going to have fun doing this, whether people are watching or not. So, yeah, welcome to the stream, or welcome to the VOD if you're watching the VOD later. If for some reason you don't know me and you're watching this VOD anyway, I'm Michael. I'm a classically trained composer, but I really love video games. And on these streams, with this series that I'm doing this year, I am composing original music inspired by a video game character. So these things that I'm composing are not necessarily going to be structured like a video game song. Actually, the others that I've written so far sort of aren't. They're written as if they're just classical pieces, but I am using all synth in these so far, at least. I'm open to the idea of changing that, but I'm not really a great performer myself. I can sing, but I don't really want to sing in one of these, I don't think. So I'll be using all synth instruments, and in general, I prefer synth instruments that don't sound like they're trying to be a real instrument. So these are going to end up sounding really synthy with more of a classical way of composing in the style in the background. So let's start looking at some stuff. Let me get the right screen up first. Okay. At any point, if anyone has any questions or observations or suggestions, please feel free. Let me know. Okay, so let's start by just sort of thinking about who the character of Tia is. And I haven't been doing this for the previous ones, but I want to add an image of Tia in from this one. I forgot how her artwork is saved. It'll be in downloads. Oh, come on, Tia. There she is. So this is Tia from Lufia 2. I don't know if everyone is familiar with that game or her character. She is your second party member that you get in that game. She is from the same hometown as Maxim the hero, and she follows him because she's in love with him. But as the game goes on, spoiler alert if anyone hasn't played this game, but as the game goes on, she realizes that he doesn't love her and he ends up falling in love with somebody else. So she just leaves the party. And if you've played the first Lufia game, it sort of suggested that the first female character you get in Lufia, who is Lufia herself, she is actually a very important character to the story of that game, even though that story is much less interesting than the story of Lufia 2. So, and both characters have blue hair. So I think this might have been the developers saying, like, oh, this Tia character, she might be something more special than she lets on. But it turns out that no, she's just like a real person with real wants and needs. She's not some hero. So when she realizes that she doesn't have a shot with Maxim anymore, she stops fighting. She goes back home. And I kind of love that. I love someone who realizes who they really are and doesn't try to be something that they're not. She doesn't try to be a hero just for the sake of it, because her heart's not in that. Okay, so I'm going to start by brainstorming ideas of who Tia is as a character, and other things that are important to her. If you've played Lufia 2 and you know Tia, please feel free to give me more in the chat. I will incorporate your thoughts into my thinking. Okay, so she is devoted. Sorry for the typing noise. I'm all on the same desk here. So she's devoted. She's stubborn. What else? She works very hard to be the kind of person that she thinks Maxim wants her to be. I'll just type that what I said. Works hard to be the type of person she thinks Maxim wants her to be. At the moment when she leaves the party, she has a conversation with another party member. And she tells this other party member a story that when she was a child, she was teased a lot because her name, Tia, sounds like tear, and she was quick to cry when she was a child. And she just decided at some point that she didn't want to cry anymore. So she has sort of walled off her negative emotions. She can't cry, but she does in the ending credits when we flash back and see how she's doing. So I'm assuming this is going this piece that we're yeah. Oh, Nave, nice to see you. Good to see you here. But yeah, that is pretty relatable. So she has sort of walled off her emotions, but is finally open to them at the end of the game. And I'm going to assume that we're writing something inspired by her after the end of the game. So let's say newly open to emotions. That's all that I can think of for right now. So let's now move on to the second part of me having ideas for this. Actually, I'll make this bigger so y'all can see what I'm writing. So, as part of this project, I've also been drawing a tarot card to help me brainstorm and come up with some interesting ideas, any new connections. I actually love tarot cards, but I don't really personally believe in tarot as a form of divination. Just me personally. If you do, that's cool. I just like tarot as a means of introspection, and I just like the images on the cards. I think they look cool. And I have sort of an interesting deck. So I'm shuffling the cards that I haven't already drawn for other characters. And I'm going to pull a random one, see what I get. Okay, I've pulled the 4 of discs. So in many tarot decks, this would be the 4 of pentacles instead. My deck is kind of strange. They name them discs. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is a lot of balance and harmony in this card, just based on the art. I haven't looked up what the card is supposed to mean yet. There are all of the 4 main elemental symbols, and they're all on. One is on each of the discs. Okay. Ooh, actually, I need to look up because there's a zodiac symbol on here, and I don't know my zodiac at all. So, what are they? Maybe it's not a zodiac symbol. I thought it was. Okay, well, never mind. I'll figure that out some other time. Okay. Oop, don't want to look at that page yet. Okay, now let's look up what the card is supposed to mean to see if that gives me any other ideas. Oh, yeah. Thanks for looking that up, Nave. I'm going to look up specifically what the little booklet that came with my deck says to see if it's probably the same, but sometimes there's other stuff in my deck that's a little different. Okay. This just says attainment. I like what you found better, Nave. So I'm going to actually... Okay, well, let's see the whole thing that this says. Pictured 4 discs bearing the elemental symbols around a central cross, meaning attainment. I'm going to write attainment, but I don't really like that. Well, maybe I do. Maybe that makes sense for her at the end of the game. But what Nave found on Google, success, establishment, proficiency, comfort, and security. Okay, so I'm going to keep those in mind. Well, let's sort of develop a story for Tia now. So I think the balance and harmony and attainment all sort of makes sense with her being, or with her reconnecting with her emotions that she had walled off from the world as a child. But then success, establishment, proficiency, comfort, and security. She is a shop owner, so maybe her shop is doing really well. Maybe business is booming. So I'm gonna. Okay. Together, that might suggest. Emotions in balance. Shop success. I don't know how I'm going to make that into music yet, but here's where the last little thing comes in. I have this interesting compositional device that I developed myself, and I'll make a full video about this at some point, but I don't have time to currently because it would take me a minute. But I have. Oh, actually, hold on. I need to switch my headphones and mic around. I'm still here, but ooh, you might have heard an echo for a second. Okay. That's not how I want to do it, is it? I'm going to see if you can still hear me. Just a second. I'm going to keep talking. Oh, yeah. Okay, you can still hear me. Good. And sorry for the sniffling. I've got... My allergies have started up. Okay, yes, this musical spreadsheet. This is totally wild, and I wouldn't really recommend that anyone do this unless you're into, like, the really nerdy compositional theory side of music like I am. And this is just giving me suggestions because what I do is I take ideas from this spreadsheet and then I sort of break the rules and do my own thing with it. So, what I've done is, oh good, that is coming through. I want to make sure it's off here. I don't want to hear this right now. I always forget how to do all this stuff. I'm not used to using this notation software. Is this it? Yeah, that should be it. Perfect. Okay, I'm only hearing one source of audio now. Okay, back to the spreadsheet. Okay, so what this is one of the themes from Lufia 2. This is something that you hear early in the game when Maxim and Tia are spending some time together. And this is a little B-flat melody, B-flat major melody. And I just realized that I'm forgetting how this melody actually goes. I have the notes, but I don't have rhythms taken into account here. So, okay, I remember now. So it goes like this: 3, 4. And then it repeats that, and then it goes to a B section. But this is just one repeat of the A section, because I realized when I was doing this with Kyle's theme, I put in way too many notes. But faster music has more notes usually. So, so this is very much like a power ballad feeling song in the original game. I'm going to play it again to get it in my head. So. So what we have here is I have all of those notes written out in the order that they occur. These things in between, in columns C, E, G, and so on, that's how many half steps are between the notes. So D down 4 half steps is B flat, and so on throughout this to fill out the rest of that melody that I've written so far. Then everything in the +1 column is every interval still going in the same direction, but the number of half steps is increased by 1. So instead, this melody becomes lost my place. So that does not work for it, especially not with that rhythm. But there's potentially something in there that I could use to develop a new melody. And minus is the same thing. So the 4 half steps down turns into 3 half steps down. So this melody turns into. Ooh. Oh, that's wrong. That's D natural. Okay. Oh, sorry, C natural. That makes more sense. Okay. And that's also C. I don't really care if I made mistakes in this because the point is that it's giving me ideas, not if it's super accurate. But while I'm catching them now. Oh, and that also changes from F to E. Some of these mistakes are because of autocorrect filling and things that it's already seen there. But okay, one more time. This whole thing's off. I gotta fix it real quick. It's gonna drive me nuts if I don't. Okay. So D, down 1 to D flat, up 1 to D natural, down 1 to D flat, down 1 to C natural, up 3 to E flat, down 1 to D natural, down 4, that's a major third, to B flat, up 1 to B natural, B, not B flat, just B, 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 up 1 to C, up 1 to D flat. Yeah, this is absolutely intimidating to look at, but like I want to eventually just sort of take this and just get ideas from this. Okay, so P, or the normal -1, is all right, that sounds sinister, but I'm not necessarily going to use any of these close to this. I tend to find that the ones that are like +2 to +4 or 5 are the ones that end up sounding the nicest. But that's just what it tends to be in the normal. Now there's the retrograde. It's the exact same theme, but backwards. So we've got the bum, 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 and so on, backwards. And so all of the directions change. Everything that was a step up turns into a step down. And I do the same process with retrogrades. Inverse is all of the same numbers from all these movement ones, but where it was up, it becomes down. Where it was down, it becomes up. The way I'm doing this is I'm treating every 12 and 0 as like 0. Zeros don't change. And then inverse retrograde is both retrograde, so backwards, and inverse, so the up becomes down, down becomes up. I am going to play through, this is the most boring part of this process, is just playing through these ideas to see if there's anything that sounds like it might be interesting for me to play with. So feel free to zone out. I will highlight what I'm working on. So I already know that I don't like P+1, but I'm also going from this point on to ignore the rhythm. The rhythm is going to be completely different from what I'm playing here. So this one sounds like, feel free to zone out. If you tune in and hear something that you like, let me know. Right. This one goes really low. I don't really like that. So I want this to the sort of vibe that my original music tends to work best in is either spooky, but I don't really want this to be spooky, or it's like pretty emotional, beautiful, and I think that second one's gonna suit this song better. So I want to stick to something that sounds sort of major key sounding. Anything that has a lot of six, six is a tritone. This one has a lot of six in it, so it's not going to sound as pleasant. Let's go to P+3. Ooh, that's this. I don't hate that, but I don't love it either. So I'll make my maybes this light blue. Okay, let's maybe just do one or two more going up. I don't think any of these going down are going to be good for this one since all of these intervals are already so small. But let's see what this one sounds like. Oh, another thing. Um, when I'm writing these out, use all sharps or all flats. Like normally, if I think of going down eight semitones, I would think of going from D to F sharp because that makes much more sense musically to me. But in this case, since I'm using all flats because the original piece is in all flats, that's a G flat instead of an F sharp. Okay, back to this P4. This one's like all tritones. Okay, not this one. This one ain't it. There is a way to make tritones sound pretty. I don't think I want to mess with it right now though. And it's a little bit harder work. Okay, let's stop with these. Well, no, I lied. Let's do one more. I think the jumps are going to be too big in this one, but let's take one last listen to this and then move on to the next spreadsheet. Let's ignore that. Well, no. This one, even though it also has a lot of tritones, has a little bit of promise to it, especially early on before the leaps get really big. But I kind of like all of the leaps of perfect fifths. That could be something interesting. And quartal and quintal harmony, like just stacking fourths or fifths on things, is a big part of my style, especially from like just out of college time. All right, let's hear what this retrograde sounds like. So retrograde 0, the theme just backwards. That's maybe something interesting. It definitely still feels like it's in B flat major. Um, what color should I use for ones that I like more? I guess I'll use. I'm a little colorblind, so let's use the paler green for that then. Oh, I don't like that shade. Let's use a better one. Okay, sure, good enough. Let's hear what +1 sounds like. Oh, this is pretty. I like that one. I like that one a lot, actually. I'm gonna keep that one that bright green. Let's switch to using yellow instead. As this is the one I'm focusing on right now. Okay. That one's not bad, but I'm now trying to think of something that excited me as much as that R+1. That's definitely the winner so far. And I might end up using more than one of these, but I think I also like R0 more. All right, R+3. Oh, I didn't highlight it. Oops. That one's kind of nice too. I'm gonna give that one the paler green. It's interesting how these are all this is the same theme, but just like playing it in a different order, playing the pitches in a different order, because these are all the same pitches as this one, just backwards. But playing these pitches in a different order makes it sound less harsh. Let's do one more of these since this is going so well. Oh, this one's got a lot of sixes, so maybe this won't be as nice. Yeah, no, this one's bad. For this purpose. Potentially good for something else. All right, let's move on to the inverse. So everything that was down is now up. Everything that was up is now down. Oh yeah, so this one is going to feel very much G majory because of all these D flats and G flats. So it's going to seem like they should be C sharps and F sharps. So I'm going to try and break my brain to read this in all flats instead. That is very sweet. I'm going to put that with the bright green. I might end up using both of these. Like this one has a little bit more angst to it, but this is just pleasant in a very nice and sweet way. Now the question is, do I want it to go from the more angst to the pleasant or from the pleasant to the more angst? Because both are necessary for the like full human life that we're trying to get at with the music here. Okay, next. next. It's not horrible. But now I'm increasingly thinking that if anything's not as good as the two bright greens, then I'm not going to use it. So far my coding is the pale blue is the like, eh. The pale green is like, oh, that's nice. And the bright green is like, ooh, yeah. Okay. That just sounds like aimless noodling, so I don't like that one as much. All right, let's move to the retrograde inverse, the last batch. Yeah, Nave, I think you're probably right. Angst to pleasant does make more sense probably. Um, I'm probably going to stick with those two, but I want to listen to a few more to make sure that there's nothing brilliant that I'm missing. That's boring. It sounds very D majory, but in a less interesting way. I personally find that boring, I should say. All right, a couple more. Not as satisfying. Okay, next. Oh. Oh, that's correct. Okay. Thought I misplayed something. At the beginning of this one's kind of nice. Like, I could see this being a transition. Ah. I kind of like that. That's pretty. Okay. I'm going to give this one a bright green, too. I might not ending up using all three, but let's just start playing around with this one, this R+1, and see if I can get a rhythm that sounds interesting for it. Okay, I'm also going to write this down on my notebook before I move it to notation software. Okay. Can you all hear my keyboard coming through? I hope it's loud enough for you. Actually, I could probably just turn it up in Logic. That'll help. Okay, back to the intimidating spreadsheet. All right. Oh, that's better. That B natural is so funky, and I almost want to spend less time on it. Okay. I don't want to get stuck in the same rhythm twice. I did that for Kyle's piece. It worked for that one because I was trying to make less pleasant sounds sound organized, but this is more pleasant, so I don't need to work as hard for it. But I like this start. All right, I'm gonna write that down on my notebook. I might bump it up an octave too. Okay, put this in B flat and 4/4. Bum. Bum. A flat. Oh, this has G flats in it too, so this is not really B flat territory after all. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Starting. One of the best pieces of composition advice I ever got from one of my former teachers was sometimes a rest can be the loudest accent. So I'm going to think about that now. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. I could hear that being repeated. That's nice. Okay. So I've got the first 7 pitches down for sure. Ba da da. Okay. Part of composing live is that you have to make some decisions faster than you might otherwise. Bum. 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 So many accidentals on my page right now. Okay, what was that? Okay. Ba-dum. Oh, I played it wrong the first time. I went back to B flat, but I like the B flat more. So I'm just going to say that it's B flat. I'm going to cheat. Okay. Okay, back to where I have the cell highlighted. Yeah. So that's just straight quarter notes, but I'm going to repeat it, and repetition legitimizes, as some other YouTuber says. Okay. Ba-da-da-dum-bum. Oops, that's not right. B natural. F. B flat. Repeat with a rest at the start, so without the first D natural. So it'll just be bum, 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 bum. Second time. Which ends with excuse me. Okay. Oh, I feel like we've shifted away from this D majory feeling or B flat feeling. It feels like it's neither right now, but let's play with it and see. Okay, so we've got bum, 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 bum. Okay, that's an interesting thing to play around with, an interesting hurdle. Okay. Let me play through this again. Two, three, four, one. That sounds like orchestral to me in my head, so I might make this one bigger and lusher than I've done with previous ones, while still using very synthy synths. Interesting challenge I've just unlocked for myself. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is inverse 0. And this is the one that feels very D majory, so I might have to change keys either to get into this D major feeling or just like move this around so it's in a key that makes sense. Okay, playing this I0 again. This is almost writing itself to me. Because it kind of already feels like the source material, I'm going to lean into that. What am I doing wrong? Am I skipping something in my head? Okay. Yeah, let's just keep that very steady I'm gonna go at this point probably gonna go into the sort of the power ballad feel here. So bum 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 bum. The original song's in B flat major. This, at least as it is written here, feels very D majory to me with all of these G flats or F sharps and the couple D flats or C sharps. Okay, so first bar of this one. Second bar. Re, ti, do, re. First two bars. Do, mi, re, sol, re, ti, do, re. Now let's break from that rhythm. Do, re, mi, do, re, fa, fa. This is really basic, but I'm wondering if I build up the mood to get to this, if that'll make sense. And it'll feel like homecoming. Do, re, mi, do, re, fa, sol. Do, re, sol. I'm going to ignore this last D so I can loop this and only have that come around the last time. Okay. So re, sol, fa, mi, fa, mi, re. This is very cheesy, but I'm not mad at that. Okay, so this will be like the last part, building to this very cheesy finale. So this whole theme. How many bars is this one? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this last one will have to be held for 2 to make a full 8-bar idea. So mi, fa, mi, re, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Chords changing, and then we've got back to this again. Probably with a fancy counter melody above it. And then the last time we can somehow find a satisfying way to get back to do. Okay. Let's play with this. Okay, so I'm going to give myself some notes. This is beginning. This is ending. And this RI plus 2 is a transition. And this is also F sharp feeling. Ah, that gives me something interesting that I could play with. I could potentially do a sonata allegro form, since I have 2 themes in 2 different keys, And the second time, okay. I'm thinking this through in my head. So Sonata Allegro form is a form from the classical period, especially, but the Romantics did a little bit too. And in Sonata Allegro form, we've got two themes in two different keys. In a major key, normally you've got like your bass key, so let's just say in this instance it's C major, and then your secondary key, which would often be in the dominant, so in G major. And there's this really important transition that goes from C major to G major. And you play through that, this piece that goes from C major to G major, and then you've got this development where ideas from those are taken and played with and put into different keys and turned upside down on their heads and broken up into small subsections that the composer can just go free and do whatever they want with. And then you go back to the main theme. So in this case, well, in the case of this instance, you go back to the main theme in C major in the story that I'm telling. But then when you get to that same transition, you don't change keys. So then you've got the second theme also in C major. So it feels very final then at the end. I wonder if I could do that with this. It would be interesting going from a B flat feeling to a D major feeling. But that could be fun to play with. I kind of did that with the piece that I wrote about Kyle, but it was much looser than that. I didn't go that strict with it. But this is sort of lending itself to being strict, so this could be Sonata Allegro form. Okay, let's think through this transition now. Oops, I played that wrong. I love this rising at the beginning. I might not use this whole thing. I might only use a snippet from the beginning. Because I'm going to keep this, at least for now, pretty much straight quarter notes, which is one of my biggest weaknesses as a composer anyway. My rhythms are very simple when I compose. Sometimes to a fault, but sometimes I like it being simple rhythms. Okay, but I'm going to play through this R+1 and go directly into this RI+2. That kind of works. Kinda. Alright, I'm just going to write these notes down. I might not get to this tonight. Okay, so we've got... Boom. Augmented triad. Sounds very transition-y, especially in this old keyboard sound that I like to use. If I turn up the modulation a little bit. Yeah. Okay. if I like that ending. This chord is, what would you say this is? Let me play around with it. I'm actually not sure. I'm not the most versed in like jazz chords. This is an augmented triad with a major seventh on top. So augmented triads are not really the most functional chords in the classical sense. Oh, okay. This is an F sharp major with a flat six. But in this case, the flat six is in the bottom. So we could say that this is F sharp major over D. Actually, I like it separated like this. That's a cool Twilight Zone-y chord. Okay. So back to this melody. I don't love ending on that G flat, and that's what I was originally thinking, but I might need to keep going because ending on that G flat or F sharp makes it sound... Okay, yeah, Nave, let me know what you come up with. I'd love to hear that. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum. F natural. If I go right into that tritone and sit on it, that makes this feel more like a transition and more like a silly, goofy ending. Another augmented triad, E augmented. Okay, so that's making me think that leaning into augmented triads might be an interesting way to work this transition here. Okay. It leaves you feeling off center, which I like for a transition. Don't know what's going to go next. One, two, three, four. But that's 5 bars, so that's really awkward. I might see if I can smush this together so it's 4 bars. But let's go from the transition right into the ending theme. So, transition. Messed it up. Starting again. That almost works. I'm going to have to play with that a bit, but I'm going to go and start putting this in Dorico now. I just have it as a piano thing set up for now. This will likely change. But I'm going to write it with no key signature at all and do it all with accidentals, and then probably go in and add a key signature later. Okay, so can I efficiently do this? I'm still not used to Dorico. I don't use it that much anymore. I was a Finale user, and that was taken from me. So. Um, over one. Nope. Okay. That needs to be 6. There we go. No. There. 6. There we go. This might not go exactly back to back, but let's see what happens when I do anyway. Still not satisfied with the length of this transition, but I'll play with it later. Oops. All right. Now we need to go into here so we can hear this when I play back. Unmute. Volume on this up. Let's hear what this sounds like. Quieter second time. Transition. Ending theme. Chords changing underneath that. Okay. First off, let's slow this down. This is way too fast. I tend to write everything probably too slow, but how fast do I want this? Bum, 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 bum. Slow down. Bum, bum. It's about 70. That's slower than I usually write. Let's see how that sounds. I don't hate this speed. Okay, this is bugging me. I gotta fix it. Okay. First off, the tempo's good. Maybe 2 clicks faster. Yeah. Okay. But I need to make this make sense, number of bars wise. So we've got 8 bars for theme one, and theme two, or the transition is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. I'm just gonna add 3 bars of rest in the melody, but assuming that um, assuming that the start selection, assuming that there'll be chord changes happening underneath. Okay, so glad I figured out how to do that nice and quickly. All right, let's listen to what we have now. I'm gonna assume there's some chord changes when there are long notes in the melody. Different chords the second time, and then rush into this. Maybe I'll repeat that bum 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 and then go Ti do. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna write that now. So let's go here. That start with a rest and. Oh, we're going to hear 2 instruments at once. Let me mute Logic. Okay. I'm going to move that over a bar. Oops. Here. That is dotted half. Okay, I'll have to find something interesting chord-wise to put in that 1 bar of rest. Transition, very augmented chord feeling. Repeat. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Okay. Okay, so, oh, Nave, reading what you wrote here. Okay, so this is a bit of a weird cadency thing, probably not very relevant, but Let me make sure that my composition tool's turned off so I'm not writing this down as we go. Okay. E flat minor over D to E diminished over D, and then E flat major with sharp 11. Okay. What pitch is the sharp 11? I might just be thinking about this differently because I don't think about extensions. We might be thinking about the chord extensions in a different way, but A natural. I'd like your cadency thinking of the in the bass, with an A natural. So I'm just gonna smush it into one octave. That's actually really interesting because that makes it because of this bass being so strong. Oops. I'm hearing this actually go from see, this sounds like May Ray. I'm hearing that more in my head. But I hear this more of like a 5-1 in G minor because of that bass. The bass is a pretty powerful thing. I think what you're doing could really work. It goes to like E flat minor to major, but I realize that doesn't change from C to G. Let's see. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what you would call this chord in a classical sense. So in like the jazz sense, this would be E flat minor over D, definitely. But I'm hearing this as a predominant chord over a dominant bass, and the predominant is how would you spell that? Yeah, that's a really interesting compositional program, compositional problem. That little puzzle that would be really fun to work out. I really like that, Nave. It sounds very classical, and at least in the way that I'm hearing it, just from your description. But that's I don't know if that would work in this particular piece, but it is really interesting. Okay, let's go back to what I was working on. But thanks for that little diversion, Nave. That was fun. Okay, let's see what I've got here again. Ba-da-bum, bum. Okay, so now the thing that I need in order to be able to repeat this, I need a closing transition or closing theme to go back to this initial feeling. But I have to decide what key this is in. I wonder if I'm feeling this in G flat major or F sharp major with a lot of still it would still be a lot of weird accidentals whatever key it ends up in. But if I think of this then as Le fa re do la me, oh no, yeah, la me say la me sera, la me sera mi. Oh, yeah, that is me. Mi sol la fa ti mi. Yeah, okay, this is an F sharp major at the beginning. So I know that when we get to this bar, we are in D major. Definitely D major here. So I'm going to do that. And how do I make it go? Nope, nope, nope. Okay, that's how you do it. There's D major. Here, this is... No, 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 not D major. This is... F sharp major. Why is it spelled like that? That should be... No, there. No, 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 no. Ugh. I would really love to learn all the shortcuts in this program. I think... Oh, that's right. It's like this? No, not that. There we go. Okay. Now these accidentals make a little bit more sense. I'm going to spell these with sharps instead. Okay. Now let's see if this makes more musical sense to me. Oops. Spell them all with with sharps. Okay. Well, I'm glad I learned how to do that. That really bugged me with the last thing I was working on. I was doing the wrong accidentals. Okay. Hate to start over, but we're starting over. Okay. Oh, this is a really easy transition back to that. Back to the first. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, um, this, actually, no, undo, delete for, all right. Just because I don't know the shortcut for how to put it back quickly. Okay. No. 8. Tie to 7. So, this is the first ending now. If I go to this, that, no, put it here. Okay, do I do that? Yeah. Now, how do I do multiple endings? So the first time, it'll go right back into that. Oh, that might not be the most satisfying way to get there, but I'll leave that as a blank. How do I do multiple endings in this? What does any of this mean? Tick, short, thick, double thick, and start repeat. What? So I want it to be. Oh, there it is. There's the arrows. Okay. I mean the numbers. This is 1. Yeah. All right, so what we've got our, where's the text tool? Don't want lyrics, I just want to type in some text. Oh boy. I don't know where anything is in this stupid program. All right, so this is our exposition with theme 1 starting right away at the beginning. I might actually have to put in a couple bars of intro. Bar number 9 is where our transition starts. At the key change is where theme 2 starts. Got the first ending that transitions us back to theme 1. The second time we'll skip that bar and move right into the development. All right. I'm going to listen now with that in mind. Okay, I gotta stop again. This actually does make more sense as spelled with flats, unfortunately. Okay, starting again. Sorry, another thought. What if I just have this key be in a flat major instead? It's a wild key signature, but yeah. That'll stay. then things get weird. All right, I'll think about that bridge later when I need to. This is so much easier to read now. Knave. Didn't even notice. Accidental puns. Fa mi fa mi re. Ooh. Okay. That exact note of transition is bad. This is T. This is the leading tone in the key of G flat major. So theoretically it works, but ooh, that what does that sound like? That sounds like a Hot Chip song, I think. Anyway, Knave, line of four chords up seems like a good place for a transition chord. Oh yeah. The four this here, this this that in bar 9. Yeah, that is definitely going to be transitional material there. But I don't know how I want to spell that, whether I want that still to be in all flats. It seems like it makes sense to be in sharps. Actually, I'm going to play around with that right now and go back to the F sharp major at this spot. Or should that just go directly to D major at this spot? That does feel like more D major-y to me now that I think about it. But it's a weird, like, augmented D major. Why is this showing an accidental? That doesn't need to be there. Huh. Oh no, that it's a courtesy because of that. I see. Okay. So we don't need to show this key signature again. How do I make this go away? Like that. Okay. So we're going from G flat major to D major, which is a wild key change of a third. Oh! But because of that key change of a third, that means I can use... what's the... I'm forgetting the name of the term now. Changing key by a third is really handy because you can do something like we're in this G flat. I can keep repeating this. So we're... And then we can just go right here because it's the same pitch as... So I can recontextualize that G flat as an F sharp. That's cool. Okay. Mediant relationship. Yeah, chromatic and mediant relationship. Okay. So that's actually an easy key change. Okay, now what I want to do is start getting some ideas. Go back to the setup. And for now, I'm going to add more pianos. keyboards, piano, add. Another one, keyboards, piano, add. So since this is kind of in my head sounding very orchestral, I'm going to imagine that these three piano lines are going to be the three different like families of pitched instruments in a traditional orchestra. So at the top we're going to have all the woodwinds. In this middle line we're going to have all the brass, and at the bottom we're going to have all the strings. So in very traditional writing, which doesn't necessarily mean I need to do this, but in very traditional writing, often what you'll want is the first theme to be mostly led by the strings. And the transition is a great spot for the woodwinds to take the spotlight. But then when we go back to theme 2, that is a great spot for the strings again. And when this is repeated at the end, the brass will have the melody, the main melody, because it'll sound big and triumphant and final. So right now, this is all just going to sound like pianos while I'm working on this, but in my head, I'm going to be thinking, okay, what sort of instrument am I going to find? What sort of synth instrument am I going to find to basically be a stand-in for which orchestral instrument? So these will be all my strings. These will be warmer, richer sounds. And all of the instruments, all of the other instruments will be playing too, but much more sparing. The brass is going to be holding longer chords more in this spot, and the woodwinds are just going to be like putting in little color chords here and there in this theme 1. The transition, the strings are probably going to sit out entirely, or just have the low strings building chords for the woodwinds to play on top of. And then when the strings come back in, it'll be like very calm and gentle in this lower gentle register for the strings to play in. And that'll be really warm and lovely, I think. I just need to find a way to get back to here. And when we get to the development, we'll see what I feel like doing. I'll be playing with all of the instruments, doing whatever at that point. And then we'll get back to the recapitulation, where I will have this G-flat major melody start in G-flat major, but the transition will have to stay in G-flat, so I'll have to recompose it. And then end with theme 2 in G-flat major, probably with the brass leading it there. Yeah, this is a very classical structure, Nave. And it's a lot of things. So, like, there's an older structure than this sonata allegro form, which is what this is called, sonata allegro form. There's another older one called rounded binary that is basically what like songs grow out of, like a typical like folk song or a pop song, or like, you know, anything like that. So it kind of grows out of the same place, but they developed in different directions, which I think is really interesting. And that's also, you know, there's also influence from a lot of other cultures. This is a very Western European way of thinking about classical music. When we get into popular music, there's a lot more influence from African and Latin cultures, and which I think is really sort of what makes especially American popular music, but you know, other countries have their own popular musics too. But I think that's what makes it so exciting and fascinating, and how all of these ideas blend together. Yeah. So I think I might need to stop here, because I think if I start doing anything else on this tonight, it'll take me way over time, and I only have a little over 15 minutes left in the stream. So Yeah, I've got a lot to think about and play with. This is going to be a more complicated project than I was expecting it to be. All right, well, I'll move to the closing screen, but I'll keep chatting for a sec. Uh, Hold on just a moment. Okay, I'm back. Um, oh yeah, well, thanks for stopping in, Nave. It was great to chat with you and get some ideas from you. I'm gonna look at those chords to see if there's a way I can work something like that because I can hear what you were thinking about the connection between those chords. But yeah, so just a little bit of an update on what's coming on the channel. So I've got our movies from 1993 video coming out tomorrow. It is not our best video. We had some audio errors, and I actually lost all of the audio that we recorded. So it's just goofy video with some new audio voiceover from me. So it's not our best video, but I think there's some fun trivia in there at least, and maybe some nostalgia for those of you who are old like me and remember being a kid in 1993. Um, then the next, so I'm hoping to get this composition done by the Monday after that. This might be a bit of too much work for that, but I'm going to see if I can do it. Um, because then a week from tonight, I want to do another composition stream, but it'll be a cover stream, a video game cover stream. I'm going to pick a different song from Final Fantasy VII. I already did Heart of Anxiety, which I really enjoyed doing. I'm really happy with how that turned out. But I want to do another one because I already have recorded a video, the last of our Final Fantasy VII series of videos that I recorded with Ramin, who's also on the channel all the time, talking about Final Fantasy VII. And I want new music to be playing underneath that. And then that Final Fantasy VII cover will come out the Monday after that. And then the Monday after that will be this last Final Fantasy VII video, and I can finally move on to my Final Fantasy Tactics video. Probably only going to do a cover and a review of that, though I do love that game. Then we'll end with, oh yeah, Nave, thank you for reminding me to look into sound fonts. I've only ever used the Harvest Moon sound fonts before, but I'm surprised at how effective it was to get the mood I wanted. So that's a very good idea. I'll look into sound fonts for that. Okay, so after Final Fantasy Tactics, we've got a bunch of albums to review from 93, so they'll be thrown in there at some point. And then we've got a couple more streams coming up of games from Nintendo Switch Online. I'm going to do one just myself of the 3 JRPGs that are on Switch Online from 1993. And then there are a few more Super Nintendo games that hopefully either Erica and I or Christopher and I will play on a stream after that. So we'll get all the video games from 93 review and a bunch of music from 93 review, and then we'll be done with 93. So that's what's coming up for the next couple of videos. Okay, but I think that's about it. So if anyone has any suggestions, if you're watching the VOD and you've had any suggestions for any of this stuff, let me know in the comments. I'll be checking in on all that stuff while I'm working on this furiously this week. And that'll be about it for tonight. Yeah, thanks so much everybody for being here, especially Nave for chatting with me. It was fun to have someone to bounce ideas off of, and thank you for asking good questions. And have a great night. Maintain your groovy selves.